Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jomi, and in this video I'll be going over whether or not ADHD is something that happens to a person as a result of trauma, or does it have a simpler explanation, maybe something as simple as genetics. Now personally, I didn't come across the fact that I had ADHD until I was in my late 30s, actually just a few months ago. So this is actually all new to me. So like anyone else, I started doing tons of research on this topic, and every other video or every other article was telling me that it had everything to do with my genetics and that my mind is like that of a child. And then there was this famous ADHD book that was telling me that my mind is like a Ferrari without brakes, which I'm ashamed to admit inflated my ego a bit at the moment. But yeah, so there were tons of publications and resources out there telling me that it's all genetic, just get back, there's nothing to see here, and that the best option for me would be to actually just start looking at medication. But I'll be honest with you and tell you that I didn't just buy this whole thing in its entirety, because I have personally dealt with depression and anxiety over a decade ago using natural methods, cutting out caffeine, cutting out junk food as much as I can, without using any drugs or antidepressants. So I never took that leap into buying drugs or getting a prescription for my ADHD, even though I was tempted a lot. Now, full disclaimer, I don't want to sound like, this is in any way, shape or form a tirade against using drugs, because I do think drugs have a place in our society in certain urgent circumstances where it's needed. Hope that makes sense. Now, that being said, I came across this book a month and a half ago called Scattered Minds by this prolific writer on trauma called Gabor Mate. And I think it had some really interesting insights into how trauma could be formed even in childhood. And he even has some great interviews here on YouTube where he talks about ADHD. So I highly recommend you check that out. We'll actually leave some really good ones in the description so you can watch it and understand his standpoint. But the way he explains ADHD is like this. So we all grow up in families with different environments and different temperaments, and sometimes if you're growing up in an environment where there's a lot happening, aka trauma, and your mind just can't focus, his theory is that you tend to tune out your surroundings and go into sort of autopilot mode. Now imagine this specific environment or situation happening or repeating every single day for a decade, or how about 2, or how about 3 decades? What happens then? Well, what happens is now this behavior that you were programmed to be in has become your new normal. Now, if we go a bit into the science of it, the way he explains it is like this. So you have your prefrontal cortex, which controls your thoughts and hence your actions. Now, in a normal environment, if you grew up in one, your prefrontal cortex has fully developed and it's fully functional. Now that's awesome and wonderful news, and I'm glad that you have an amazing prefrontal cortex. But if you grew up in an environment where there's a lot of chaos and a lot of confusion and a lot of stuff happening, it is as if you're caught inside the eye of a tornado. The way he explains it is that your prefrontal cortex didn't go through the normal developmental stages that a normal brain would otherwise. Thus making it not so fully functional, so to speak, unfortunately. So the way the book explains it is like this. Imagine a traffic intersection with a traffic cop who directs this heavy traffic. Now your mind is a traffic intersection and the traffic cop is your prefrontal cortex. Now for those with ADHD, sadly, this traffic cop is off duty and asleep most of the time. So the way the medications work is that, and remember, these pills are actually stimulants. So the way these pills work is that when you take them, it stimulates your prefrontal cortex and thus bringing the traffic cop back to life, pretty much. Hence you get that extra level of clarity and alertness. Now his argument is that there was never a specific gene or a chemical deficiency that was found to prove that ADHD is technically genetic. And if I am wrong, please correct me, let me know, or if you have a specific paper or a specific study that was done, then do leave them in the comments. I would love for you to prove me wrong, because I don't want this to be a one-way communication. So let me know. But other than that, I think I will stop here And let me know your thoughts as far as this debate is concerned. Do you have ADHD? Have you suffered with ADHD in the past? Maybe. Have you tried any natural remedies to overcome your ADHD? If so, how did that work out for you? Let me know in the comments, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Other than that, thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe if you thought this was helpful.